All right, go.
Alright. Cletus and Jill is at a park. And Cletus is going to propose to Jill. And they're at a park. And the name of this park is I Love Newport Smokes. So Cletus and Jill.
I love Newport Smokes.
So Cletus and Jill at a park called I Love Newport Smokes. Alright, here's what happened when they went there. They met by the slide. And Cletus picked a rose for Jill and handed it to her. And Jill smiled and Jill said, "Oh, baby, my name is Cletus." Which was odd. So, after Cletus gave Cletus a rose, they decided to go for a walk. So while they were walking, they was talking about all the great times they had. And Cletus looked over and Jill said, "I remember our first date. I went to pick you up and I sat down across from your father and I shook his hands and he looked me right in the eye and he said, 'Son, be..'" Be sure that you always remember I be freaky. It's still to this day, I've never forgotten that. So they continued to go for a walk. And then Jill looked over and said, "I remember the first Thanksgiving I spent with you. I sat with your mother washing dishes, and I looked over your mother, and I said, 'Every time I see your son, I think of one phrase. Every time I see your son, I think me not be knowing.'" And, Cletus's mother, was kind of curious, so she asked why she thought that. So Jill told her that the first time they tried to kiss, they missed. And after they missed, they laughed about it and they said, "Oh Lord, they said a mouthful." Good Lord. Alright. After they tried to kiss and they missed, they laughed about it. And they said, "I can't tell if I farted or sneezed."
You gotta redress that one.
Okay.
AKA the speaker. No, baby.
And then the second time they tried to kiss, they missed again. RU469. OU812.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey.
Oh, God.
So after all their kisses were done, they went and they sat down by the lake. And that's when Cletus finally asked Jill to marry him. And he said, "Honey," Cletus said, "Honey, I love Hamburger Helper." Okay. And of course, Jill didn't know what to say to that. So she said the first thing that came to her mind. And the first thing that came to her mind is, oh good Lord, is good as gobbling. Okay. So after they got done gobbling, Cletus, I don't even know what I'm talking about now. Cletus finally asked Jill to marry him. And he said, will you marry me? And Jill smiled, and Jill said that. And Jill smiled, and she couldn't just say this. She had to yell it at the top of her lungs. Why, I don't know. But she had to yell, gobble, gobble!
Gobble, gobble.
So, they went home. They tell their parents about it. They went to Jill's house first. And they sat down across from their parents, across from Jill's parents, and they told them the news, and their parents had mixed emotions. They both said something different, and I'm scared to ask, but I'm going to find out. Jill's mom said, well, honey, all right. She said, well, honey, my toilet paper is JWTP. And Jill's dad now. And Jill's dad. And Jill's dad just could not sit down. He stood up. He was just overwhelmed with emotion. He ran out of the room. But before he ran out of the room, he shouted, that's not mine, officer! So then they went to Cletus's parents and told them, and once again, their parents said two different things that I probably don't even want to know. Cletus's mom said, really? And Cletus's dad said, I believe what my shirt says, I'm Spot Gobble. His dad must have had a little bit too much to drink. Which they did. They were walking through the house and they found six bottles. And it was a new brand of alcohol, and it was called Do the Do. So anyway, after that, they set the wedding date and they planned the church. You know, they said it's a little lovely church in the middle of nowhere, and the sign in the front yard, it was a big, pretty sign, and on the sign, it said, where is my spot remover who gobbled at the store? And, you know, at first Jill was a little bit hesitant about choosing that church, but Cletus changed her mind. Cletus changed her mind when he said, help, whoreless headsman. Whoreless headsman.
The whoreless headsman.
Oh, Lord, forgive Cletus and Jill. Forgive him, Lord.
The whoreless.
Oh, Lord, forgive him.
Oh, man. Keep going.
So, after a while, after a few months of praying and praying, their wedding day finally came. Whew. And, you know, Jill was in the back, and I don't even want to know what she was doing. But she was in the back. And Cletus was sitting out in the pew. And the preacher walked in and you know, shook Cletus's hands, and I don't know what I'm talking about now, but they did something. And the preacher smiled and said, me be freak.
Are you Catholic?
So after everyone came and sat down, you know, the preacher went around and greeting everybody. It was finally time for the wedding. And when Jill walked down the aisle. They played a different song. They didn't play Here Comes the Bride. They played a nice song. They played a nice song that's called I've Been Inglued.
I got him glued.
So now the vows came. So now it was time for the vows. And I'm afraid to ask, but for some reason I'm curious of what they said. Jill started. So Jill looked Cletus in the eye and said, the first time I met you, I thought one thing. The first time I laid eyes on you, I thought, Gobbler is in the house.
Damn, Gobbler.
And I'm scared to find out more, but she said, and then I realized the day I was in love with you. There was something you said that just really got to me. We were laying out and we were sitting in your swinging, and you had your arms around me. And you said, who I not for? And that
He must have wrote taxes.
and that instantly made me fall in love with you. But to top it all off, when we look into the rest of our lives, I want you to remember one thing. That no matter what happens to us, Lord forgive me, I'm going to say what I was going to say, but Lord please forgive me. As we mark on the rest of our lives, whenever things get bad, whenever you feel like you can cry, remember you can always come to me and gobble my spot. Oh, Lord. Well, I feel dirty now. But anyway, then it was Cletus's turn for the vows. And he also spoke of the first time he realized he was in love with her. He said they were swimming. And they looked over at each other, and a song came on the radio. Oh, good Lord! And the song that came on the radio that made me realize I was in love with you was titled We Be Stroking.
Oh my God. I wrote this last thing.
And what was so funny about that was after that song came on the radio, your father came out and boy was he mad. Oh my God! And he looked at me, and your father, when he looked at me, he shouted, "Build me a TP!" Oh my God! All right. All right. And finally, oh Lord, that ain't it. So, after all that, they ended up married. And the preacher's final word was, I am gay nocula. So, for their honeymoon, I don't even want to go there, but they rented a cabin. And they walked in. It was a surprise for Jill. And when they walked in, Jill saw it. I'm shard.
Shard.
That was what she was thinking. That ain't what she said. When they walked in,
I should have ran that right.
when they walked in, Jill said, "Happier than a witch in a broom factory." So then they were tired. They'd had a long day of building teepees and being with gay preachers and stroking and all that stuff. So they laid down, and I'm afraid to look. So they laid down, and Cletus looked over at Jill and said, "Honey, unglued."
You did double dip that one. He said, "Honey, I been what?"
So after that, Jill looked over and replied, "Lord, why did Jill have to say this?" And Jill said, "Honey, let me get a piece." And Cletus smiled and, "Oh my God!" Alright. And Cletus smiled and said, "Well, honey, put it right there." Oh. Alright. So after Jill put it right there, religious face it, we all know what happened. Oh my God, I hope this is not code for something. It probably is, and y'all probably gonna laugh. So after they, they looked at each other and smiled, and Cletus said, "Fish tacos are incredible." They got tired of laying there. So they went to the hot tub. And they turned on some music. And a very special, I hope it's So, after they played their song and after they were going home. And they stood out there and they were just happy to be married and alright. You all say God will have a sense of humor.
I love it.
So they walked outside and there was this couple walking by and they had been staying up in the cabin. And they saw Jill and Cletus and they smiled and they said, "Can we do that?"
That's the wrong one for sure.
You ran out of them?
I'm out of them.
Damn.